Okay, so my protest artist was Keith Haring, and he was an openly gay man who used his art to advocate for the LGBT community rights and raise awareness for the AIDS epidemic. His sexuality was a central part of his identity, and his work addressed themes like homosexuality, safe sex, and the hardships faced by LGBT community. But he also talked about a lot of other issues like apartheid, cocaine epidemic, and just like a lot of other issues that he thought were really important to him. And he used these to show, like, he really expressed these in his art. But so this was like his art was very like cartoon like. He used a lot of bold lines, bright colors, and like these carried like his powerful social messages. But like he started out just drawing with on white chalk outline. He started out drawing simple white chalk outlines on unused advertising panels in like the New York subways during the early 1980s. So these were like advertisements that people would put up, but as like time goes, they'd either be worn out, torn off, or like they were just old ads that like would be taken off. So in those empty spaces, he bought chalk and he would just start drawing his images, and they started really just sparking a lot of like attention because it was something that was accessible to everyone. Everybody rides the subway, everybody could see this. It wasn't something that was just confined to art collectors or galleries. So his art really started to gain a lot of recognition. So this is one of his most famous pieces, and it's called Ignorance Equals Fear, or Silence Equals Death. And this was to directly confront the AIDS crisis and the stigma surrounding it. So the figures are drawn in his signature energetic style, but the message is like pretty serious, where he's like urging people to speak out, to refuse the silence, and like face the injustice around the AIDS epidemic, because it was something that people didn't really know a lot about, but just put it in a negative like automatically, just because like people were very like, because like AIDS was something that was very like around the gay community, especially gay men, and people at the times were very like against same-sex marriages and whatnot. So it was like, oh, AIDS is just contagious. Like people just believed that, which was very untrue, because like we know that AIDS isn't contagious like through airborne or touch or something like that. So he really wanted to show like how the AIDS crisis was going on, and like how it wasn't something that people needed to fear, kind of. And his like he like used like this bright orange and yellow color to kind of like make everything pop, but he also showed text on the piece to kind of like like it's simple text, but it shows like it's a very powerful message. But yeah, his artwork really reflects like how his activism and like belief was represented in his art, and how art could be a tool for social change. Okay, so the one on the left is called National Coming Out Day, and again, he was very openly gay, so he talked about his sexuality a lot in his pieces. And this was a piece that kind of, he wanted to celebrate his LGBTQ identity, and like kind of just show how like it's okay to come out. There are people that will support you, even though like it's very like people were hurt a lot because of their identity, but he wanted to be like, it's okay to come out because there are people that will support you. And it was kind of very meaningful because it was at a time of like discrimination, so he kind of just wanted to be there to support people. And then the one on the right kind of plays off of that. So the title of it is in Spanish, Portuguese, but it translates to Together We Can Stop AIDS. And this was a mural in Barcelona which emphasized like collective action and like how we should all work together to stop this crisis. And it's like these characters that are holding hands, kind of just doing like everyday activities or having fun, but they're doing it together. And that kind of shows how like collective action is something that can be used to push against like the hatred that people are getting. And again, he used like his bold red with the bold lines to kind of just like, that was his signature, and he like let it be like a fun piece rather than something that was very serious, kind of. Well, it was serious, but in a fun way. And this was done in Barcelona, and he had many pieces around the world, kind of just like to show his global message and to fight against AIDS, and how that required everybody's participation. So the painting the mural on the left is called Crack is Whack, and this was one of his like most recognized public murals because it was done like in the like very prominent in New York City, and around like the 1980s is when there was like like it was going on for a few decades, but like very prominent cocaine epidemic. And it was kind of very devastating to urban communities because so many people were dying left and right because they didn't know the consequences of it, or they were simply using it to deal with like pain or something. But he wanted to show that like there is like it's not something that should just be used carelessly or at all in general, and how it's leading to so many deaths because he used like a skeleton, and like there's like beakers kind of showing like how people are like creating this and then people are like trying it experimentally, but it's not something that's good. And while it was initially considered vandalism, it became one of the most iconic anti-drug messages, and it was actually preserved and like recreated at times too. And then the painting on the left, or lithograph on the right, sorry, was something that he did in opposition to like apartheid and all the oppression that African Americans or like black people were facing in Africa in general. So this image shows like a large black figure like breaking free from the grasp of like a smaller white figure that kind of was showing how like people were getting like oppressed there, and he was just like very against it. He wanted to be someone who symbolized like liberation and resistance. So this wasn't his only piece in the apartheid movement. There were other ones, but I really like this one because it really shows them like a figure breaking free from control and fighting back. But yeah, he used like bold letters again, or not, yeah, bold letters, bold lines to kind of just talk about complex social issues and political issues. So for historical highlights, so yeah, he began creating his chalk drawings on unused advertising panels in the subways, and a really big reason why he gained so much recognition was because he made his art accessible to everyone, rather than just making it for like rich art collectors or galleries, and like allowing it to be enjoyed by everyone was something that really made him happy. He even gave out free pieces like buttons and free posters of his work because he really wanted to spread his message. It wasn't just about creating art for him, it was spreading his message and like letting people like agree with him kind of. And so in 1982 he was one of the first of 12 artists organized by the Public Art Fund to display a work on a animated billboard in the Times Square. So this really boosted his art more because like the Times Square was where so many people gathered, and like his artwork being displayed there just let more people see it and learn about it. So then yeah, he addressed a lot of issues like AIDS awareness, LGBTQ rights, the apartheid, drug abuse, and even capitalism. He has a lot of pieces actually done with Andy Warhol where he talked about capitalism and how it was bad. And yeah, but he opened up a pop shop in 1986 where he made his work accessible to everyone. But this is where like he sold his art, he created shirts, mugs, like a lot of merchandise like that. But he also wanted to make sure it was affordable. We go to a lot of art museums and it's like some of these artists like merch is so expensive, like even a small magnet is so expensive, but he wanted to make sure it was affordable because again his main point was to make sure that his art was accessible to everyone and that it was gaining recognition so that it could be spread. Some people were kind of upset that he opened up a pop shop to sell his art rather than just like giving it for free on the streets like he used to, but I think that was just a small portion of people because he really did make sure it was affordable. And also like he created so much art where he needed to make some sort of profit to like keep doing his art. But I think that the pop shop was actually like many people really liked it because they would like line up outside to buy his pieces, so it was really cool. And then he got diagnosed with AIDS in 1988, so his work focused even more on raising awareness for the AIDS epidemic after that because he really wanted to show compassion to like the people already facing it, but also like to himself to see like it was a human condition, it happens to people, it's not some like monster that some like people need to avoid, like people can still interact. He was still a normal person, so he just wanted to really show that in his pieces. But yeah, in 1989 he founded the Keith Haring Foundation to support AIDS research and also children's programs. Like he was big on allowing children who like didn't have the opportunity to create art, experience art, and just like collaborate in pieces like that. And then he continued to produce murals until his death in 1990 due to AIDS-related issues. But yeah, his pieces were prominent around the world. He had like murals in Barcelona. There were some in UK. There's like a lot of pieces all over the world. So very prominent. But yeah, so these are my essential questions. So it was like, how did his use of public spaces, like the subway, change ideas about where art belongs and who it's for? Kind of just showing like, oh, was it good that he put it out for everybody, or should he have preserved it more? And then how did he use his personal experiences and identity as a gay man to influence his creative and social vision? How can playful imagery, like his bold lines and bold colors, communicate serious ideas about injustice or inequality? And then why do you think art is a good form to raise awareness about public health crisis, like the AIDS epidemic? Not just social political issues, but also like health stuff. Like, how is art a good way to do that? And then, yeah, these are 2 videos. I put a shorter video and a longer video. I don't know how much time there is. But yeah, that is my presentation on Keith Haring.